All right. Crazy. It was crazy. So, from what I could remember, I was in foster care since I was 2 years old. So I was in foster care since I was 2 years old. I'm just finding most of this stuff out now, but my mother, I guess it was neglect. They don't tell you, you're a kid. They don't tell you all this shit, what's going on, and you don't realize what's really going on, right? But I guess it was from neglect. I was put into a foster care agency at 2 years old, and that ain't no joke in itself. That ain't no joke.
How did you feel knowing that right now? Because you say you just found out, right?
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel when you heard that?
Well, when I say I just found out, I mean I just found out details of some of the things that happened because I couldn't really remember some of the details that happened in the foster care homes and the agency in itself. It's crazy, and I didn't really remember. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Did you know anything else? Because you was only 2 years old, so you grew up in it for the most part.
No. I grew up just my mind was everywhere. I wanted to be, everywhere. I wanted to be part of the cool crowd.
Yeah.
So my mind wasn't really focused on, the family part of it, the mom and the pop part of it. Foster care, they try to place you in a better environment than what you had.
Okay.
And when they do that, there's bumps along the road, and those bumps come in forms of physical abuse sometimes, sexual abuse sometimes. Different things that come with because you got to remember you're dealing with different people. You're dealing with different personalities. So when you're putting kids, especially at that tender age, into a home, you don't know. Of course, you vet these people, but you don't really know. Who they are or what they are, or,
Did you go through?
Bob.
Did you go through any abuse like you were talking about?
Yeah, I definitely went through physical abuse, but the physical abuse was so great that it was so great. I know now that's why I didn't remember most of it. So I was. And this is something that I'm having dreams about now. But I was 3 years old, between 3 or 4 years old, and I guess I was in one of my foster mother's arms, and she like I just remember her yelling at me or something like that. But while she's yelling at me, we're walking. We were walking to church. She was a church kind of but she's yelling at me while she has me in her hand, and she's like moving me around. But she winds up like jerk. Yeah, she winds up like jerking me really hard, and my head hits the garbage, the garbage dumpster. It has that piece that sticks out, that metal piece. Right. My head, I'm 3 years old, so my head hits that piece. My foster mother told her that I fell in the park.
All right.
And that's something, that's something that they accepted. Like, oh, okay, he fell in the park. And
that's not necessarily cool, but it's kind of wild that you're reading old stories about like what happened was going on, because you were too young, obviously, to remember a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
But to read what was happening to you.
Yeah.
Right.
And I actually have dreams about it now.
Sure.
And the way I have dreams about it, like the way it got to that point, is also crazy.
Right.
But yeah, I didn't remember a lot of the abuse.
But are you reliving it as you're reading it, or not necessarily?
I was reliving it before I started, because I just started reading it. I just got the paperwork from the foster care agency, like my medical records and stuff.
Right.
I just got it a few weeks ago, and it's hundreds of pages.
Wow. Right,
so
that's
they give you not only your medical records, they give you your psychology, your psychological records and things like that. So I'm reading everything, and it's like an eye opener, So yeah.
That's ill.
Yeah, it's crazy. Growing up, I had two brothers, two half brothers, which but they managed to keep us in every home that we went into. They managed to keep us together.
Okay.
So growing up, I was very protective of them because they were both my younger brothers.
Okay.
So we weren't very bad. We were just we were just looking for a place to, a permanent place to stay. So no, growing up, we wasn't too bad. From what I could remember, we wasn't too bad. No. So one of the foster homes they put me into, it was in the Bronx. What happened was, I guess one of my brothers, we was inside of McDonald's, and one of my brothers was like, he wanted something to eat. Like in this particular home, they didn't feed us a lot, So one of my brothers yelled out he wanted something to eat. That pissed this woman off. So when we got home, she beat us, but when she beat me with a umbrella, and the bottom of the umbrella, it has that metal piece.
Yeah.
And I'm a child. So I'm at this time I think I'm like 5 maybe, but this metal piece, she beat me on the top of the head with it, and I remember passing out. Like I remember like the blood coming down my face. I remember passing out, and I remember waking up. And she's telling me, it was a Spanish woman. She's telling me, what happens in this house, stays in this house.
Wow. Right, trying to coach you.
Yeah, so because when you go to school, that's not something she's putting. What she was putting on my head? She was putting that Tiger Balm.
Yeah.
So she's rubbing. I can I smell it now,
Right.
So she's rubbing that, and but she knows that that's nothing. That's something that has to be explained once I go to school.
That's right.
So she, like you said, she was coaching me. What happens in this house stays in this house. So the agency ended up taking me out of that house and putting me in a foster care house in Queens. That's how I got out here. I was about 7 years old, and they put me out here. And they put me into ISA. That's the first school I went to when I went to elementary school, PS 48, and then I went to ISA. I had a good experience in 48. ISA, it was ISA. Especially they was right there in the projects, So they wasn't playing. Yeah. My trouble, I guess, trouble really started for me when I was taken out of ISA and I was put into Russell Sage. It's in Forest Hills, around that area. When I got there, there's Russians in that area. So my first day, maybe my first or second day there, the school bell rang, the end of school, and everybody grouped up to fight, and I'm confused, like, yo, what the fuck going on? But I see these group of black people, and I see these group of white people, and they just start fighting. I'm fighting with my nigga, you feel me? So I start fighting, and I ended up, meeting a very good friend, and that's where that the trouble started. This friend that I met, he was a very cool person. Very cool person. He was involved in he was in a gang, very gang orientated, but we drew close to each other because of that fight, and it wasn't just that fight. These fights would happen like every other day, and they felt like we was in their neighborhood. It ain't like that,
What school was this?
Russell Sage. I can't remember the number right now, but it's so he lived close to where I was staying. He lived a couple of blocks away from me. So I would be over at his house all the time. My foster mother at this time, she, we weren't clicking. So she was doing her best to get me out of the house. That's how I viewed it, And as foster kids, foster parents don't, they don't really, I mean, my view of it, they don't really want you. They just want to get that check, and then you know, whatever happens, happens. You know, that's my reality of it. You know, but so I was over his house a lot. You know, I met his family, and you know, we became cool, and that led into the fights outside of school. You know, I wasn't particularly in a gang, but yeah, I was affiliated, but I was never officially in the gang. So yeah, that's where the fight started, and things like that. Down the block from a couple of houses from where I used to stay, there was I used to have a friend. And you know, we were kids, so we would get into a lot of childhood, you know, bullshit. What I thought was bullshit. But he used to have this thing where we used to, you know, run into houses, you know, do burglaries and shit like that, right? And it's not like we would just because he was doing it before I was, but it's not like he was just running in there and stealing anything of fucking value. It was just bullshit. Like back then, it was phones. And I needed a friend. So I would go and we used to do a few we used to run into fucking windows and steal phones and, you know, regular crazy shit, right? One day, the fucking police, I guess somebody got a call. It was snowing. He called me early in the morning. He was like, yo, come with me. I need to get some money, whatever. I guess whatever house we went into, the neighbors, they seen us or they heard us. They called the police. We knew that they called the police because we happened to be looking out the window, and like she happened to be looking inside. So we was like, all right, we got to get out of here. We happened to make it out the house. We get down the block. And police undercover, they stop us. They ask me for my ID. I tell them, listen, I don't have an ID. They like, listen, okay, we just looking for, you know, a report of a burglary, whatever. They let me go. I get all the way back home. And this is about 30 minutes away. I get all the way back home. By the time I get home, because I wasn't adopted at the time yet, but my adoptive father, he's looking at me, and by the way, my adoptive father is white. He's a Jewish guy, so he's looking at me like with disappointment in his eyes, like, yo, what the fuck did you do? And I'm looking like what happened? The cops are behind him, like walking towards. So I'm like, what the fuck happened? I ended up, whatever house we was in, I ended up dropping my ID.
Wow.
So they came, so even though they looked at I guess they looked at my ID, they knew, you know, it was me. So they knew they stopped me. So they ended up at my house. They came, they locked me up, and I went to Rikers Island C-74 at 15.
Wow.
They used to say C-74 adolescents at war.
And that building is wild too.
And it's especially when you're young, you always got something to prove. Mm-hmm. So in jail, in Rikers Island, it was no joke. It was no joke. I remember the first day I walked in, I had like a gray academic suit because that's what was hot back then. You know those fucking. Mm-hmm. So They press you for everything. They press you for your, back then. They pressed you for everything. Your sneakers, whatever you had on, your PIN number for the phone, everything. And if you wasn't with it, you was getting smoked. I wasn't with nothing. You get what I'm saying? And I was jumped a few times. But it's crazier because when you know that the police run the jails and they allow this shit to happen, that's when it becomes a fucking eye opener. They lock you up and then you be going. They have you in jail on Rikers for fucking forever. But like a year, maybe a year and a half.
So you the only one that got locked up, or your man got locked up?
No, my Cody, he got locked up as well, but he didn't.
How did they get him? They found your ID. How did they get him?
He came back with me. We both came back. Yeah, they already knew it was him. We both came back together and they locked us both. Like I said, I was young, he was young. We got to the precinct and they was asking us, listen, you know what they did to us? They gave us some pizza and some Cokes. Listen, did y'all run up in any other houses? They do that. You know, that's what they do. Yeah. So I'm telling fucking my co-DC, he's like, yeah, we ran into these. Yeah, he's like, yeah, we ran into these other 2 houses. So we friendly with these motherfuckers. So we not knowing like, damn, we jamming ourselves up. But we both went to the island. He ended up bailing out. I didn't, my family had bail money, but they wasn't bailing me the fuck out. He ended up bailing out. I stayed. He ended up coming back. He got into some trouble on bail, and then he ended up coming back while I was still there. And then, like I said, police run everything. Mm-hmm. So when you're not with the system that they want you to be with, they try to enforce it the best way they know how. And how do they enforce it? They take whoever's the top man of whatever house that is, and they give him, the whatever power, whatever power he believes he has or whatever. But while I was in jail, like I said, I wasn't with nothing. So the officer, there was this officer named Mercado, fat Spanish guy, CO, right? He pulls me up to the front in front of everybody. This is a house of like 48, 49 men. Mm-hmm. Everything is stopped. He pulls me up to the front. He says, did so-and-so ask you for your PIN number? Mind you, everybody, we all at our I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh, so you ain't give it to them? I'm like, nah, I ain't give it to him. Nigga smacked me. The officer smacked me. So now I got my fist ball, so he sees that. He gets more mad. He smacks me with the other hand. Wow. So now he's saying, if you're not gonna give up your PIN number, I'm gonna make sure that they fuck you up. Like, I was so mad, like I couldn't say anything. I just, he let me go back to what I was doing. But he made sure that every last one of them fucked me up, and they sent me to another house. Wow. So I wanna make sure people know that when they talk about the jail system, I want them to also know that it's police, it's the COs that are making it what it is in there. Yeah, Mercado. Mercado.
Yeah, but that's the last. That's kind of vague. You got more than that.
But yeah, his name was Mercado. A little short, stumpy, fat. Right. When you locked up, all you get is the last name. Right. But I still remember, and he had a partner, some white guy with blonde hair. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But that's not a rare thing that happens every day. That in order to keep, they think that we're animals. That's how whether we're innocent or guilty, they have to keep us in line. And to keep us in line, they want to make sure that they have the power. They want to make sure that we know that they have the power. Right. How do you keep that power? You fuck us up. You keep shit from us. In jail, it goes by classification. Mm-hmm. When I was 15, 16, like I said, I went to the adolescence, and like I said, that in itself is crazy. When I got caught again for selling drugs. Right. I come home from doing the adolescent bit, and that's actually how I got my name, JB. My brother gave it to me. I came the first day I came home. My brother, I forgot what, maybe I think he said Johnny Boy from Gotti, his son, John Gotti, his son. They used to call him Johnny Boy, so that's how I got JB. But I got out, and at this point, I was still with my foster family. Mm-hmm. I was adopted at this point, but I was still living at the house. And they couldn't have me there, so I was kicked out when I was 17.
Is that the Jewish family?
I'm sorry?
Is this the Jewish family?
Yeah, so my adoptive father is Jewish. My adoptive mother is black.
Right.
So that's that
But
family.
those are the ones
yes.
that kicked you out.
Correct. Yeah, that's that family. But when they kicked me out, now I go live with the friend that I was fighting. You know, and he didn't live too far from the house I was staying at. So yes. So from what I know now, my mother was a crackhead, and my father was a pimp. I don't like using words that are, you know, that are sugarcoated. You know what I'm saying? I like to. I guess the reason why I'm saying this because I don't put the onus of the drug abuser on the drug user because I know what system we live in. Like this is my mother. Like granted, I didn't know her, but I know whatever she went through, I know it was, you know, it wasn't all her fault. You get what I'm saying? So when I use the word crackhead, especially when I'm talking about my mother, my birth mother, that's not in a derogatory way. The people that I'm talking to know that, listen, this is not going to be a sugar-coated type of, you get it? So from reading, like I said, I didn't remember everything. So I went through, me and my brothers went through 5 foster care homes. So each one we was taken out because of physical abuse and, you know, things like that.
That's gotta be traumatizing.
Yeah.
I ain't lying. I'm traumatized hearing that.
But just think of, you're doing this to a kid. What type of person are you? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, so we were taken out of each house, and it wasn't just me. It was also them. I brought a book. You know, we had something in the paper, the Daily News, that detailed our story. We used to, me and my brothers, the adopted family that we were adopted into. They bought us 3 separate beds, but they documented how some mornings they used to come. Me and my brothers used to be huddled up in the same bed because we were so traumatized and shit like that. We couldn't be separated. We went through 5 different houses. So when I was kicked out at 16, 17, around that age, I didn't believe in life anymore. I wanted to kill myself. Right. And this friend that I was staying with, he, you know, it was access to, you know, guns, a lot of guns. You know, he was like a gun entrepreneur. You know, he used to clean guns, you know, all that shit, right? My adoptive mother, she said, why don't you leave? And then I said, what? She said, why don't you just fucking die? Wow. So that's the day that I'm like, okay, you know, like, so I left, I went to my friend's house. I thought my mind is going crazy. I think it was like 11, 12 at night. I went under his bed, I took his gun. I went back to my adoptive mother's house in the backyard and I put the gun to my head. I swear to God, I pulled the trigger.
Oh man! Yo.
Swear to God, I pulled the trigger. It jammed.
So God, you giving me goosebumps right now, bro.
That same gun that just jammed, right? I took that same gun. I went back to my friend's house and I put it under his mattress. And then I went back to my adoptive mother's house and I called my brother. I remember calling my brother that night, and he ended up coming and, you know, he's speaking to me and shit like that. That night is when I went to go stay with that friend for the next couple of years. At least like 2-3 years.
Wow. Right. Wow. That's ill.
Once I start living with him, I meet a female. I'm 17. I meet a female, and we have sex. You know how that go. We do what it do, and she ends up pregnant.
Wow.
Now back in the day, back at that time, in New York City, there was something called a hiring freeze. So whatever job you applied to, whatever interview I went on, they was telling me like, listen, there's a hiring freeze. We're not hiring nobody. You know, you fuck. I moved to Chicago because at this point, my daughter's mother, she's saying, listen, she has family in Chicago, and she's telling me they have better opportunities out there. So they moved to Chicago first, and I'm like, listen, there's nothing moving for me in New York. Let me move to Chicago with them. I get out there. Chicago is Chicago. Like I said, they do not play. You can't wear your hat a certain way and a certain you can't wear a certain color. BDs, all that shit is a thing. Alleyways, niggas, gunshots all night. It's a thing. I remember I used to work for a nursing home when I first got out there. On my way to work, I was wearing a hat. I think maybe I was wearing it like a little front to the left. Maybe I don't remember, but it was maybe a red or green. I don't fucking remember the color. But while I'm waiting at the bus stop, a car passed by, packed with Spanish niggas, but they staring at me. So they passed by. Few minutes passed by, so I'm looking down at my phone. I'm like, the bus pull up. As soon as I put my foot on the bus, I hear the glass shatter. I don't hear the bang first. I hear the glass shatter. Nigga, them niggas was shooting at me from the from the car. The bus driver had to skate off. I'm like, oh, the same nigga, cause I swear I didn't hear the bang. Cause it was cold. This was winter. I wasn't paying it, but I get to work. I don't know. I think I might still have like the glass cut me a little bit on my arm and shit from when it shattered and shit. But and at work I was working with gang members, BDs and shit like that. So when I got to work, they was telling me like, oh shit, you live in this neighborhood, so listen, you can't walk. You feel me? So I'm like, oh shit. And it's not just when we say BDs and GD, there's Spanish gangs out there that go crazy. You get what I'm saying? So you gotta know everything when you out there. If you live in a rough neighborhood, you gotta know, where to walk. Yeah. You gotta know how to walk. All that shit. I stayed out there for a year. Me and my daughter's mother, we really didn't, we didn't work out too much. And then I moved out. I got my own place, but it was a first floor apartment. It was like you could see outside. Somebody broke the window. Like my first week in that shit, somebody broke the window and like they stole my airbed. I had like a queen size airbed.
I was gonna say they stole my airbed.
They stole that shit. Yeah, they stole that shit. So I was like, listen, I'm going back to New York, man. I tried to do, So I came back to New York, and I started to sell drugs because there's still no work.
Survival of the fittest right now. So
I'm trying to survive. There's no work. There's and the only thing moving in the neighborhood that we live in, what we see every day is drugs and So I had to do it. So I told myself I only wanted to do it until I found a job. So I was still going on these interviews. I was still dressing up and doing all that shit. I would sell crack and then go on the interview. You feel me? But what happened was one day, I wasn't even selling no drugs this day. I was just, so.
Take your time, bro.
Definitely. So I was walking out. I have a lot of friends whose houses I've lived at. I've went from couch to couch. I'm not afraid to say it because I'm a survivor. You get what I'm saying? So I was walking down the block of this family that I knew and shit, and cops just seen me. Like they looked at me. Maybe they knew but at this time I was off the radar. Purposely stay off the radar. But they just looked at me, and these niggas said, yo, hey, stop. And they just fucking hopped out.
What they called you?
They just said, they said, hey, stop.
Oh, hey, stop. Oh,
yeah, they was in the car, but they was like across the street. Like, they was across the street. They was on one side of the street. I was on one side of the street. But they was like, hey, stop. So they open up the car. All four fucking. So I take off running. And I get away. I get under a car. I call my man. He called me, and then he come get me, and then, But from that point on, I used to sell drugs in the daytime. But from that point on, I knew they was looking for me, so I started to come out at night. So I was like, fuck that. If they doing the day shift, I'm just gonna come out at night, get my little bit of money, and then move on. One night, early morning, I just finished. I didn't finish. I had a few pieces left, but I was actually cool with the crackheads that I used to serve. One morning, I was talking to one of the sisters, and she was telling me how maybe her sister died or something. It was nothing to do with drugs, nothing. But these same police that seen me that time ago that I ran from, they seen me that morning that I was on my way home. I didn't, I was just talking to this lady real quick, to the sister real quick. So they hop out on me. All 4 fucking cops again. So they grabbed me. They grabbed my shirt and shit. And they was like, oh, what you got on you? I'm like, I don't got nothing. What you talking about? So the nigga that's grabbing my shirt, he like pulls me into him. And then he picks me up and slams me. Now when he slams me, my hands are pinned under my stomach. So I can't, when my arms are pinned under my stomach, they're still beating the shit out of me. I can't move my hands, nothing. So they're telling me to stop resisting. This is all I hear. Stop resisting. And I'm trying to tell them like, yo, my arms, y'all got me pinned with my hands under I can't. So they end up, getting me up, arresting me and shit. My picture, what's it called? My mugshot. My eye is, I don't know if it's right or left, whichever one, but it's blood coming down one of my eyes. They broke my orbital bone in my eye. Back then, I didn't, when the doctor told me, because I went to the doctor, I guess afterwards and shit, I'm like, orbital bone, whatever, whatever. I didn't know about that you could hold police accountable. I didn't know about any of that shit. So I just chalked it up to the guy. I'm like, listen, I shouldn't have been out there anyway. I'm like, fuck it, that's when I was arrested for the drugs, and then I went to the boat, and then I went to Rikers, and then they switched me to the boat. So my classification was low, because when I went juvenile, I copped out to a bullet. So that's a year. So when I copped out to that, it closes your record. Your record is sealed. So now when I got caught for the drugs and shit, I have a low classification. I got caught for whatever. So now they put me in a certain. It's called the Sprungs on Rikers Island. And it's supposed to be a low classification housing. It's supposed to be it's not cells. It's like beds. Where I fucked up at, my code D was claiming Crip. Listen, I was getting jumped on VI floors, but I wasn't even Crip, but because he was Crip, they was associating me with him. Yeah. So I did 6 months, and they let me go on 5 years probation. Now with 5 years probation, it's felony probation. So I have to, they make you stay on that shit for 5 years. But if you have like good behavior and shit, so I found a job as soon as I left that shit. I started working for a glass company in Elmhurst or some shit. So I wasn't getting into trouble. So I was off of that 5 year probation in like 2.5, maybe 3 years. Mm-hmm. So once I was off probation, I was working at this glass company, and then I got into the union. I applied to get into the union, labor, local 79, labor union.
The glass company.
From the glass company, yeah. After the glass company.
How old are you around at this time?
When I got into the union? Yeah. I was about 24. So, y'all see Black Lives Matter everywhere, right? Right. That's what I'm. When I say Black Lives Matter, I'm not talking about the organization. Right. It's a statement for me. I've had experiences where people don't believe that's true. So I work for a construction union. Racism, there's a lot of racism in construction. Yeah. So I brought my hard hat with me, but I have a hard hat. It has Black Lives Matter stickers everywhere. Mm-hmm. I put that on purposely to let people know. Like, listen, if you're a racist, keep that shit to yourself, because this is what I believe in, So I was working at a construction site with this construction company. And it was a white coworker, stocky white boy. He used to come with hunting knives in his bag, and he used to show other coworkers pictures of guns in his phone and shit, So one of the coworkers one day he's playing a song. I guess it's a Biggie song. But the white coworker starts saying nigga. So he keeps repeating it.
I see where it's going.
I've talked to him. We've been working together for months. So he knows how I feel. You get what I'm saying? So A coworker pulls. I did hear him say it, but a coworker pulled me to the side and said, "Listen, he's saying the word nigga, and he's not." And I told him about it, and he said he's not gonna stop saying it. So I waited to hear him. The
Like,
Biggie,
you
the
nigga
Biggie
authority.
Yo, the verse came back again. Whatever chorus Biggie was saying, he said it again. I didn't want to make a scene, so I pull him to the side. I'm like, listen. That shit is not gonna work for me. That make me uncomfortable. You can't say that in front of me.
Yeah.
If you say that in front of them and they allow you, that's cool. Not in front of me. And he scrunched up his face, but he was like, all right, cool. All right. Go back to work. Now he giving me the cold shoulder for a couple weeks, maybe 2 weeks. 2 weeks go by. Early in the morning, I'm a laborer, so I set up for the bricklayers. He's a bricklayer. So I'm setting up for him and shit like that. So he come and he has hard hat stickers. Mind you, I told y'all my shit says Black Lives Matter. He has one sticker in the left hand or whichever hand it was, but he has a stack in another hand. He gives me the one sticker that's in the one sticker that he has in his hand. The sticker says not my circus, not my monkey, with a picture of a monkey on it.
Are you fucking serious?
It says not my circus, not my monkey. So at this point, I'm tight.
Tight ain't the word.
So you remember what you said earlier about like niggas that's emotional? I'm one of them emotional niggas. Like I get tight. So I already tell my superiors about the first incident where he said nigga and shit like that. So now I have to tell them about the second incident where he's giving me the racist sticker. Now my union gets involved, their union gets involved, whatever happens. I end up being fired. He gets fired also, but they also so that same job site I was working at, I don't know if you guys heard about it, but it was a story where somebody came to that job site and shot a foreman a couple years ago.
No.
It was like 7, 8, maybe 9 years ago. But someone came to the job site, shot a foreman. I'm working on that same job site. So if I'm telling you this white person is being racist and he's showing guns and he's coming to work with hunting knives and all that shit, I'm telling you I don't feel safe, and you telling me, listen, only thing we could do, you could quit. 2 months go by. I'm going back and forth with my union. I haven't been working since. I'm going back and forth with my union because my union is supposed to be representing me.
Yeah.
But now they not representing me. Hell no.
Wow.
I have to record. I record everything. Like when I'm in an unfamiliar situation, I have to record because that's what, as black people, that's what we learn.
Yeah.
That's what we have to learn to do. You get what I'm saying? Because if not, it's their word against ours.
That's a fact.
So back and forth, I've been going with my union for months trying to figure something out, me getting back work and all that shit. They end up, September 9th of 2022, they end up calling the police on me for trespassing. From 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., I'm telling them, listen, I'm trying to get back to work. I'm trying to figure out what's going on because they told me they're going to do an investigation. I'm like, listen, I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Somebody talk to me. They didn't want to talk to me. They had the day before, they had me sit there all day with nobody that came out to talk to me. They had me sit in the hallway for 8 hours. Nobody came to talk to me. So the next day I came in, they called the police on me for trespassing. Now, remember I told y'all, any situation I'm in, I'm recording. Yeah. So I was recording prior to the police coming. Police come, they arrest me, and I'm telling them, I didn't do anything wrong. Police arrest me. I'm wearing my Black Lives Matter hat. The police see this, they arrest me with all this shit on. My phone is still recording. They don't know it's recording. I forget that it's recording. There's a story in the paper right now, if you go Google my name, of a recording. My phone caught officers saying racist shit. I can't really go back and listen to it a lot of times because of my PTSD and shit that I have now. Yeah. So it triggers me all the time. Wow. But I in the recording, and my ex heard this as well, I heard I heard one of the officers say, I believe I heard one of the officers say, if this was back in the day, we'll take him out back and it fades off. This is one of the things they say. While I was in the cell, they gave me an open bottle of water. They, disgust. They treated me crazy.
Right.
I get out 8 hours later. That's when they give me my phone. I find that the red light is still on, so I find out it was recording.
That whole time, the red
whole
light was
time.
still on when they gave it to you?
Exactly. The whole time it was
Wow.
recording. That's how it caught
man.
officers, multiple officers saying racist and disgusting shit.
Wow.
Disgusting shit, right? So now, mind you, after the first arrest, the district attorney declined to prosecute. They gave me, I went to court, 30 days later, some shit, they gave me a paper saying, listen, we don't want to prosecute you for this, whatever. So I took that same paper back to my union. I'm like, listen, you guys can't arrest me. Like, I'm here on union business. I'm here to talk to somebody, whatever. They call the police on me again, have me arrested again. The union didn't know that you wasn't trespassing that first time. This is the second time now.
Second time, right.
So and I'm bringing you a paper saying, listen, the police said I didn't do anything wrong. Can we talk? And now they have you. So they know this time. They're purposely having me arrested.
Right.
Okay. The second time they have me arrested is dismissed. The prosecutor, the DA actually prosecutes me this time.
Yeah.
And it's I didn't do anything different from the first time. So now it's dismissed. After it gets dismissed, I go to the precinct now. This is February 4th, on Valentine's Day of 2022. I go to the precinct of 2023. I'm sorry, Valentine's Day, and I say, listen, these officers that illegally arrested me the first time and that said all this racist shit, I would like to have them, not only have them arrested, but my union, they're weaponizing the NYPD against me. They know I didn't do anything wrong, but they keep calling the police. The police tell me, no, we can't do anything about that. They arrest me that day and charge me with false crimes. They charged me. So remember, I told y'all the second time that I was arrested from the union, it was dismissed. I had an order of protection against the union. But when it was dismissed, the order of protection automatically gets dismissed as well. When I went back the third time to the precinct, not to the union hall, I went to the precinct to ask to see if they can investigate. They charged me with breaking an order of protection against the union hall.
Oh, my God.
When you break an order of protection, it's automatic jail time. So I feel like they knew that. So what they was trying to do was they was trying to send me to jail purposely.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Right? So this is common sense to everybody, right? Now I get to arraignment. The judge is looking at it like, yo, she's looking at it like she knows shit is not adding up. So she asks the DA what's going on. The DA is looking like, we don't know, but we'll have an answer for you.
Right.
The judge looks at me and says, Mr. Wohl, we'll have an answer for you by your next court date. Mind you, when they arrest you, they tighten the fucking cuffs. You can't feel your wrist. All this shit that happened to me twice already. 3 times, I'm sorry, because this is the third arrest now.
Yeah.
So now she says this will be resolved by your next court date. My next court date comes March 1st, 2023. I go into court. I'm wearing a Black Lives Matter shirt. Big, bold letters, Black Lives Matter. I get there. The DA says, listen, Your Honor, we want to adjourn it for another couple of months, whatever. At this point, I'm fed up. I'm innocent. I know I'm innocent. I know the police is, they set me up at this point, whatever. So I tell the judge, I'm like, listen, whatever you have to do, do it. But I know I'm innocent and I'm being set up by the NYPD. She was like, oh, we have to come back. I'm like, listen, if you have to arrest me, then arrest me. I'm willing to sit in jail until you guys figure this out. Court officers get behind me and they arrest me.
Oh,
Wow. Wow.
Inside the courtroom. I put my hands. Now this is an important fact that I want you guys to say here. I put my hands behind my back and they arrested me, handcuffs, right? Mm-hmm. It was about 5 of them. They walked me out. When I get to the hallway, it's about 10 more court officers. This is in Manhattan, criminal court, 100 Center Street, right? 10 more court officers run by. They come, they grab me, and they grabbing me with force. It's about 15 of them now. They talking shit. I'm like, and I'm talking shit. I'm like, yo, they about to beat by the way they grab. And I've been beat up by police officers. I know how that shit feel. So I'm saying like, yo, they about to beat my ass. I'm screaming this shit so people can hear me so they could try to record or something. One of the court officers says, like, shh. One of the court officers says, oh yeah, we all gonna beat your ass. And his boss, he's like, yo, shh. Like he's telling him to shut up. Hey, yo, bro, they get me in this elevator. They put me in a corner. I'm still handcuffed. They put me in a corner of the elevator. One is holding my head. They pack the elevator to where they pack that shit. They start beating the shit out of me. I'm talking about fists, punches, kicks, everything. Start beating the shit out of me. So somebody is punching me in my face, like I'm facing this way, but somebody's punching me in my face from this side. So I'm trying to turn my head, because remember, somebody's still holding my head forward while I'm already arrested in handcuffs. So I'm turning my head to see who the fuck is punching me with such force. A black court officer, bald head nigga. He looked like he got like one of those hats on his head or whatever. But he's punching me with force. The elevator comes to a stop. They drag me out of the fucking elevator. They take me to a room. We're still in the courthouse. They throw me on the floor. So it's a fucking wood. It's a stone floor, cold. They shackle me by my ankles, and those same officers continue to beat the shit out of me again.
Wow.
I don't even remember how long they was beating the shit. I know that they was beating me.
Yo, this shit is disgusting me, bro.
Right.
I ain't lying. I never heard no shit like that.
And think about it.
Damn,
listen,
yo,
if you're
crazy.
If you're guilty, that's one thing. If you
That's a
know,
fact. That's
if
a
you
fact.
know in
That's
your
right,
heart
right,
like you
that's
did
right.
something,
You ain't even do
that's
anything,
one
right.
thing. Now I know in my heart I'm innocent.
That's a fact.
So now I'm laying on this floor, hogtied like a fucking slave, while they beating the shit out of me. And these ain't little. Like I said, there was an officer. His name was Sexton. Tattoos on both arms, stocky. He looked like one of them up north COs. Punching me like I was less than they was beating me like I was less than a fucking animal. Do you hear me? When I say I was I was screaming for help. I'm in the courthouse. You can't tell me you can't hear me. They continue to fuck me up, right? It didn't stop there though. Thank you. Good looking. That shit happened to me sometimes. That's why I got it. My throat be closing up.
It's so good.
Damn.
Yo, but you would think it would stop there. You would think we live in a world with people who have humanity and compassion, and we don't. We don't. Now let me tell you. After they beat my ass, they didn't call an ambulance for me for I don't know how long. Before they called the ambulance for me, they tried to clean me up. One officer's trying to fucking stuff my sneaker on. This nigga's just trying to, this white mouth just trying to stuff it. And he's telling me, if you don't put this sneaker on, I'm gonna shove it down your fucking throat. And these are things that they all, listen, and remember I told you that I was on the floor hogtied. There was the top fucking cop in there, his Major Allen. He comes out of his office, he tells them to pick me up and put me on a bench. They have a bench in the courthouse that's about 3 feet off the ground, but it's on the wall. They beat me up off the floor and beat me into the bench. They had to handcuff me. They took off the handcuffs and had to handcuff me to the bench. They didn't finish there. After they was done there, they started, cursing at me, the regular shit. Trump 2024. I'm still wearing my Black Lives Matter shirt. That my shirt is ripped in half, all that shit. Trump 2024, that's all I keep hearing. So it went from help me to now I'm angry. Now it's all types of suck my dicks and now I'm angry, right? They take me. They take me from the court. They call the ambulance. The ambulance take me from the courthouse to the hospital. The hospital couldn't give me extensive care. Yeah, because they didn't have the machines. They were saying I had to go to a different hospital to get.
What was it? What happened?
So I had bruises. So I got the pictures and shit. My tongue was one side of my tongue was black and blue. I had bruises on my arm. I had a knot on my head. My fucking nose is fucked up but I couldn't get the I got the X-ray, but I couldn't get the deeper scan or whatever. Nothing was broken.
Scan.
Nothing was broken. Yeah. Nothing was broken. But yo, I was sore for like 6 months.
Wow. Imagine.
For like 6 months. They took me to the hospital. They brought me back to the courthouse where they charged me with 2 felonies for assaulting them.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Assault on an officer carries 7 years. They hit me with two of those, and they hit me with 4 other misdemeanors. Wow. I was facing like 18 years.
Damn.
19 years. Wow. Mind you, remember when I'm innocent. When you get arrested, you don't just get arrested. They break you down. You get paraded through the streets. You get paraded inside the precinct, outside the precinct. They got to take you to bookings. Everybody's looking at you like you're like a criminal.
Right.
But they don't know that police do this to us every fucking day. I don't believe in black on black. I know black on black crime happen, but I know white on white crime happens. After they did that, they had me coming back and forth to court for years. And not just for that. So after they did that to me, while I was coming back and forth in court, they was arresting me while going to court for that charge.
Wow.
In the last year and a half, I've been arrested 10 times.
Wow.
And that's just in New York. I've been arrested 10 times. I have 10 dismissed cases. Every time I went to court for that, for them beating my ass, brutalizing me, they was fucking with me more. So now, when I was going to court, I had on headphones because I was keeping to myself. They was arresting me for my water bottle. Something perfectly legal. You can't come in here with that. Listen, it's water. I have PTSD. You guys gave it to me. This is water. You can't come in here. They locked me up for that.
Wow.
Then once that was dismissed, they locked me up for it again.
Wow.
That's crazy. Man.
And then that was dismissed. So, like I said, so for a year and a half.
What's the charge on the water bottle? Poison or something?
They call it disorderly conduct. You know what they say? They say that they tell you, you can't bring it to the courthouse, and then once you say, I need it, I want it, now you're acting disorderly.
Got you.
It's bullshit. It's bullshit. So they were arresting me for the whole year and a half from September of 2022. For a year and a half later, they were arresting me. So like I said, I was locked up 10 times from one courthouse to another courthouse. They was sending me from 100 Center Street to 1 Center Street because the shit they were arresting me for now in the courthouse were violations and misdemeanor, But altogether, each time I was arrested, think about being in a cell for 8 to 10 hours each time.
Right.
You innocent. Now you in a cell. This small cell, you have, that shit not gonna make you go crazy?
Hell yeah.
Man, yeah.
So now, all that shit happened. I move out to Jersey because now I'm thinking I can't stay in New York. I'm getting stopped in New York. I can't stay. So the police, even going through that, they was calling me at night. The same precinct that was locking me up, they was calling me. Oh, why are you making? Because I was making reports to the CCRB. They was calling me 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. I was just putting my son to bed. That's not business hours. Why you calling me 10:30? That's intimidation tactics.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They trying to scare you.
Yeah.
They was sitting, you know how many times they was sitting outside my house, every fucking apartment I went to? You get what I'm saying? The point I want to make here is that's what police have to do in order to get paid. In order for the world to run today, there has to be people on the bottom, and we're the people on the bottom. We're those people. In order for cops to get paid, for judges to get paid, for everything to run the way they want it to run, black people have to be oppressed. How are we allowing people to label us as criminals? Right now, there's police administrations that are being arrested for corruption. So they're not only are they doing it, and they already have money, they're doing it for greed. So the same people who are calling us criminals, they're being criminals too.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact.
But they don't get caught. Police are protecting them.
That's a fact.
And that's the only thing that I, yes, it's a crime.
Yeah.
And we have to commit those crimes in order to survive. If we didn't commit those crimes, we would be fucking homeless on the street. And you know they're arresting homeless people for being homeless now. So either way, if you try to survive, you go to jail. If you try to follow the law the best you can, you're going to jail. If you're guilty, you're going to jail. In my case, if you're 100% innocent, you're going to jail. You still getting your ass beat. So my question to you guys, right? As black men with kids who have to go home and talk to your kids about police officers. Now, after hearing my story, how can we go home and tell our kids? What do we tell our kids about police? I can't teach my kids how to interact with police because I know that police are oppressing us. I know that they're purposely doing it, and they have to do it. They have to do it because to uphold the status quo. So if we're the ones dying, us in this neighborhood is us. If we're the ones dying, then what else? And police are not helping us. What else do we have? What else do we have to help us? We've been saying it for 60 years.
Yeah.
We've been talking about inequality for 60 years.
Yeah.
We've been talking about banks not giving us loans for 60 years. We've been talking about police brutality for 60 years. 9/11 was 20 years ago, and they still talk about that now. They don't want us to forget. The Holocaust, like he was talking about, didn't even happen in America, and they don't want us to forget. Why? We've been talking about it. I feel like that we have to stop talking about it. You know why it doesn't resonate to the kids? Because us as adults, I don't feel like we're doing enough to make it resonate. And what I mean by that is, and what I mean by that is, if we know that police are doing this to us, if we know that the only thing that they're telling us to do is vote, voting is gonna change our lives, and it hasn't yet. What else is there for us to do?
What's the answer?
Death. Malcolm X talked about revolution. In every revolution, there's compromise, but there's no middle ground. There's blood. There's death. Black people have yet to have a revolution. We have yet to have a revolution, but we're still telling our kids, be careful, don't wear your hoodie when you go outside because a police officer might shoot you. No, a police officer's gonna shoot you anyway. A police officer shot a black woman in the face because he wanted to. So if they're killing us anyway, and they've been doing this for, and I say 60 years because that's the last time the Ballad of the Bullet came out, but they've been doing this for 500 years. Why are we still telling ourselves that talking is the way to go? So that's why I'm here. Not only do I want to bring, definitely.
But that's kind of what we was talking about.
Yeah. But not only bringing awareness, but like I said, that's the first step. I also have lawsuits that like I said, the first two arrests, I have lawsuits for. The thing is, with the arrest where they beat my ass in a courtroom, that's a civil rights lawsuit. Those type of lawsuits, lawyers fund those. And I've been told by lawyers that since I had my ass beat in a courtroom, a judge isn't going to touch the case. I'm not gonna win that case because what judge is gonna, you get what I'm saying? So now a lawyer it doesn't matter that I'm innocent anymore. It matters that a judge might not win this. So that's another reason why I'm here.
What I think is, if you're not going through it, people don't care. Now, if we look at more cases that's like that, like how your case is, then we probably be more indulged in it. Your story is really extraordinary. So we have to care. I think that's the main thing. We have to care. Because if it's not affecting you, why would you care?
I don't believe in making money so my son can or my kids can live better. I believe in putting my life on the line now to make change so their life is better.
Now, you know what's ill? would you been thinking that same way if you didn't go through what you went through?
Yes, I've been to Black Lives Matter protests with him.
Okay.
With Prom.
Okay. What do you mean? No, he's saying if you didn't go through that.
Before I went through all this, I was at protests with Prom.
Okay. Your story is crazy, bro.
Crazy,
I ain't lying, but keep your head up, bro, and keep doing your shit, bro.
I appreciate
That's
you
a
guys,
fact.
man.
No,
Thank
for
you
sure.
for the
For
Thanks for
telling your
Asking
story, bro.
podcast.
Yeah. That's
Vasquez,
glad
Bug
you
Out
heard,
Prom.
word.
No bullshit.
Keep your
You
head
have
up,
to
though,
think
bro.
like
That's
that's a
real
fact.
shit.
That's a
Appreciate it.
fact.
Thank you. Thank
That's
you.
a fact,
Yeah,
yo.
for real.
I looked at you. I look at
That-
you different, bro. Now
That could break a
I ain't
lot of
gonna lie.
people, though. You know what I'm saying? The fact that you look good there, you know,
Yeah.
I don't know what's
Yeah.
going
Listen,
on on the
listen,
inside. I don't know what's going on the inside. That's why I made that thing. But the fact that you made it here, you know, I just hope that you ain't as broken as a situation
I'm fucked
like
up.
that
I'm
could
fucked
be.
up, but
I can believe it, right.
I
I can
appreciate
believe
all the
it.
love,
Yeah.
man. Thank you. Yo, this is JB. You now watching the Thanks for Asking podcast. Tune in, like, comment, subscribe. You know what it is.